so much from all that.
That is
And
amazing.
really
Oh my
was
gosh.
grinding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like so much fun. Can I join that college? Are they still around?
It
one
was
in
called
Colorado.
Loretto Heights College in Denver, Colorado on Federal Boulevard. And basically the whole curriculum, it was a private school. It got bought out by another university. I'm not even sure what the name of it is now, but it combined with Regis College. It's still there,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say I was there during the heyday of, some wonderful teachers, and a lot of things have changed since then. So I'm not sure if they still have the same program. But my voice instructor, she went on to create the musical theater program over at Brigham Young University, which is also very well esteemed. So
wow, that's amazing.
I really had some wonderful instructors.
Yeah, and you had like the pleasure to work with them and learn a lot of stuff from that as well.
Oh, it was very intensive. They made you audition for every show, and we did everything. Jesus Christ Superstar and originals. You learned opera. You learned all sorts of different languages. You learned the Broadway, the history of all the Broadway shows.
That's amazing.
The dance, everything like that.
That's amazing. I actually trained for opera when I was 9 years old.
Wow.
So
yeah, it's a very different style of singing, and it actually takes an incredible amount of support. And my voice teacher, she not only performed opera over in Europe, but she studied the phenomena of pop belt. Her name was Jan Sullivan, and she wrote a book, The Phenomena of the Pop Belt Voice. And
that's amazing.
Made a video, and she studied the science of the vocal cords and how you produce physically. So yeah, I mean, it really was an incredible experience.
That's amazing. No, I like everything just about the music, like going to the college and stuff. Now, from that college, when you learn like a whole bunch of stuff, be honest, like after learning, almost all of that, what did you really want to stick with? Were you just wanting to just sing? Did you want to do theater? How did you go about that? Did you do any voiceovers?
Did I do voiceovers?
Mm-hmm.
When I first graduated, my very first professional theater job was working at Heritage Square Opera House in Colorado.
Okay, I've heard of that place. Yeah,
kind of like old school theater. That you had the first hour was like the Bride of Frankenstein. I got hired as the Bride of Frankenstein, so I got to have the white hair and all of that, and then the second act was like what they called the olio, and that was singing, dancing, vaudeville style, and jokes. And I was working with 20-year-old professionals, and there was so much to learn. And then I got hired at Disney World doing comedy. So here was I, somebody that performed this little 1-minute monologue that I really practiced.
Yeah.
And was hired over at Epcot Center at Disney World to work at an Italian comedy little show with the carts, and you brought up people out of the audience and you got them to participate. Improv, and plus you never knew what anybody you pulled from the audience would do, and I learned a lot from that. So I started kind of incorporating everything from my theater, my dance, my comedy, my singing, and then improv, and started putting that together in shows. Ended up migrating down to Florida and doing a lot of dinner theaters and bands, and putting together my own kind of MC, master of ceremonies, where I'd show up like Cher or Janis Joplin. Or
oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah, and I would be the show host, but then I'd be roasting like 300 American Express people at a business dinner, and then get people up to sing with me and do the audience. So I started putting all those layers of everything in there.
I love that. I think that's amazing, especially with the roasting and stuff. But you got to dress up as like Cher and Janis Joplin, or like other people?
I made all my costumes, and I never had a ton of money, so I would be very inventive. I'd get the wigs and look at the makeup and design my clothes.
YouTube everything.
Do whatever I could do.
Yeah, YouTube or Google everything, right?
Yep, yep.
And
Absolutely.
with all that, like, as well as, when did you first actually record like your first single? Like, when did you really want to start, after like doing all that and having fun for yourself and going out and all the shows that you did and music and theater and everything, when you just wanted to sit down for yourself and was like, I want to record this single? When did that officially kick in?
Well, I spent many years in Florida, and I was always doing either dinner theater and singing and dancing, and then I was on a cruise ship, and that was always fun. You lived in a house with actors, you'd go to the theater, put your makeup on, and then I started getting in bands and doing every style of band, from Motown, the top 40, to blues, to old school and oldies and dance clubs, and after a while I started I actually got maybe a little bored, because I always wanted to learn new music and talent, and some bands, they just want to play the same sets over and over again. So I started wanting to feel more creative and to write more, and just something inside me. I think it started because I recorded my first album, which was the Bad Girl EP. And I wrote those songs, and then all of a sudden a whole world of, publishing and, well, how do you get your songs on radio, and was presented. And at that time when I recorded the Bad Girl album, I actually didn't know a lot about music and radio. I had been doing theater and live performance for so long. So something inside me after a while said, I want to move to Nashville. But at first it was, well, I want to be around creative type. How do I get out of this rut I'm in? It was either New York, Vegas, Nashville, or I considered California. And something just said Nashville, songwriting town, and I just really packed up my car and decided in less than a week, I'm going to Nashville. So I didn't know anybody out here.
Yeah, I mean, Nashville's definitely the space where I feel like everybody likes to go, and you actually learn a whole bunch from it, and then it helps you also with writing, and you meet a lot of people, so it's definitely an amazing place out there.
Well, interesting. Yeah, it's like everybody here is just a phenomenal musician, and you can go out any night of the week in Nashville and you can see phenomenal performers. And there's everything from old school country to traditional regional artists, like I saw Brenda Lee in Walmart. You see Lulu from Hee Haw. You see legends right here in Nashville, and they're the nicest, down-home people. They very nice. Then you've got, of course, the up-and-comers and the new country and the bro country playing down on Broadway in the bars.
Everything with country is my favorite.
Yeah, and you also have a great rock scene and blues scene out here. So really, there's a lot going on. And then you've got the songwriters, outside of Broadway. You've got West End and what they call Music Row, which is where all the songwriters hang, and the writers' nights. And so I started getting into writers' nights and bringing my guitar and probably playing really badly several years ago. I've been out here about 6 years.
Were you born and raised in Texas?
What was that?
Where were you born and raised there, or where were you born?
Well, I was born in New York, but I pretty much grew up in Arizona from third grade on, and then migrated to Colorado for college and Florida for most of my professional performing, and was really out in Florida for about 20 years. So, I just think I call myself an entertainer. As I got into radio, and I want to say Paul Mack was one of the first.
Paul Mack is amazing. He's next to be on my show.
First.
Yep.
Yeah. He was asking if we're on Tune Genie, and I think we're just on the Hamilton.net.
Yeah, HamiltonRadio.net. Stream HR2. But we should be on Tune and Genie.
Yeah, he was messaging me. That's why I sounded a little distracted.
No,
he's
you're
in
fine. It's okay.
And I think he wants to listen
in. He wants to listen in.
But,
he should call in. Yeah, he's nice.
But he was one of the first to play my Bad Girl album. And, I didn't know a lot when I first put those songs out. And I've learned so much over the last couple of years as an independent artist. You know,
Yeah.
you definitely want to protect your work. You want to copyright it. You want to make sure it's all registered on things like Nielsen BDS that, you know, tracks the airplay and sound scan and live performance and, you know, how do you make money on streaming and royalties? And a lot of these things I didn't know. So in my early years, as far as getting some songs out to radio,
Mhm.
I probably didn't make a lot of money because I didn't understand how it all worked. And
Yeah.
being an indie, you definitely have to compete against labels
Yes.
and promoters and people that have a lot of money, and then you learn as you go.
Well, let me ask
You
you
know,
this,
how to do
Anne-Marie.
it.
Did you after you first like released your album or your the album Bad Girl or the EP it was, did you ever go to like a couple of like industries like companies and stuff and like give them your music and see if they would play you or promote you, or do you have to pay for that as well there? Like, how does that
Well,
work exactly?
as far as trying to find a publisher or a song plugger, as they're called, to get to, say, major artist,
Yeah.
I haven't yet done that. I'm almost there. I think
Okay.
once I finish the current album I'm working on, because I wanted to get a stronger repertoire
Okay.
and better quality music. So I had that album and it's done really well, and I actually re-released it on Bongo Boy Records, which I'll say a little bit more about that in a second here. But I was starting to get more opportunities, learning more, and then started doing a trends, kind of going over to country with an Americana groove, mixing different genres like pop, rock, blues, and country with traditional country sounds, but experimenting kind of with some also modern sounds mixed in. So I've
Mhm.
released about 4 singles. Once that album is complete, and that's going to be called Songs from Nashville, then I feel like I'll have a good body of work, because some of my earlier songs I recorded in my home studio, and though they weren't bad and they got radio airplay,
Mhm.
you know, really, even as an indie, you always want to put out your best quality work. So
Of
you
course,
do have to
especially for
find
radio.
a great studio. You don't want to put out demos. When it comes to publishing or getting any sort of licensing, I'm starting to do a lot of reading and learning about it. You do have to make sure it's really, they want songs that nobody's heard. You don't want it on iTunes and Amazon. If you are trying to get a major artist or publisher to pick you up to pitch that song, possibly for films or TV, you yes, they look at, do you have some sort of track record, but really it's about the song. So I'm learning that, and so now it's like, wow, if you got a really great song, don't do a Facebook Live, don't put it on YouTube, you know, copyright it, do all the registrations,
Yeah, make sure you do all
and
the
those
safe ways,
songs
right?
don't have on the radio while you're trying to find somebody that might license it or put it in a movie.
Yeah.
And so there's a different perspective. It's a whole different business as opposed to getting radio airplay.
For both
On
of
radio
you.
airplay, if you're wanting to get it out to the masses,
Mhm.
well then yeah, you want as many stations as possible playing it, and if you can get it on TV or cable or whatever, uh, you know, genre and medium that you can. But as far as licensing and publishing, they want songs that are original, that they can say, hey, we broke this song. So I'm learning a lot. You have to be very willing to network, read, study. I Google anything I don't understand. If you're an indie artist, you have to wear a lot of hats, whether it's your social media and maintaining all your websites, to doing all your registrations, doing all your email mail outs.
Oh my
You know, some
gosh.
people have
Anne-Marie,
the
how do you
funds
do all
to-
this? Crazy.
Yeah, I don't sleep. I don't sleep.
Well, that's
basically.
not good.
Maybe I
You
get
should
about
get
3
some
4
sleep.
hours of sleep.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Speaking of some music, why don't we play one of your songs? I think you sent us like 3 or 4. Let me see what you sent us. 3? Okay, we have Going Through the Motions. I Don't Know What Love Is. And then what was the other one? Hold on.
Yeah, Closer, I believe.
Closer. Okay, so would you like to play Closer?
Sure, that's just the most recent single
Okay.
off of my new album coming out this year.
And then would we just have a little information of what it's about? Or what's behind it?
This song is about basically long distance relationships
Oh.
where you have a connection with somebody. Maybe you only hear their voice through the phone, and but you can see the same moon, the same sun, and there's an emotional connection, whether it's a friend, romantic, and it's basically how you wish they were closer, because those times are few and far between. But it's about that connection. No matter how many miles between you, you'll always have that connection.
Wow, that's an amazing, amazing way to look at it, and a great title for the song. I can't wait to hear it. So we're going to play Closer, and we will be right back to the DJ Dani Show on HamiltonRadio.net. Stream HR2 with Anne-Marie Pasterno.
Change the journey takes us to another place. I hold on to your memory, the way you make me feel. Sun shining bright when I wake in the morning. Fireworks at night as the skies in the moon. I feel your soul.
And we're back to the DJ Dani Show on HamiltonRadio.net. Stream HR2 with Anne-Marie Pasterno, and we just heard Closer. That was such an amazing song, and I wanted to know, especially for when you were writing that, where did you get the idea for writing like long-distance relationships? Did you have one?
Well, I have several friends that live many miles away, from all the way back to high school
Mhm.
to musician friends that I've met and people through my travels, that to me it's important. I think Facebook and social media sometimes can be real superficial, of course, and the prayer button, okay, prayer sent, or here's me in the hospital, here's my broken toe, here's my,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
like,
Yeah.
and there you hit the like button, right? And I just think, what did we ever do before computers and internet and social media? We talked,
Exactly.
way back when I was just a kid. My mom had coffee and you went and you talked to your neighbors. So,
Oh yeah, everything was outside nowadays too, right? Now
yeah,
everything's
so
inside.
basically, um, it's about, I like that personal connection. I like picking up the phone and calling people, and people get
Me
real
too.
busy. And then you see them all over Facebook and you're like, what?
Exactly.
But
Or you
they've been
want
trying
to
to call you.
what
So,
is even yeah, or like phone calls now. What is that nowadays? Because like I try to call people and they never pick up. They always text. Like I hate
oh, hate
texting. I prefer
texting.
call. Yeah.
Have you been in a text argument?
Yes.
Is that the most ridiculous thing when you're in a fight with somebody and you're texting back and
Yeah,
forth?
because you would have
It's
just
like,
called them and end it, and they're still not gonna pick up because they're mad at you.
exactly, but they'll text you. So,
Exactly.
I've had a few of those. But anyway, in that song, I'd like to talk about the sounds. I mean, Bob McGilpin, who has produced the last 4 singles, I think he's an awesome arranger. He's a multiple instrumentalist.
Yes.
You hear every kind of sound in that. It starts country, but I'm the type of arranger, performer that I like to mix in some different sounds and genres, and he's a master at putting those in between the vocal lines. And you hear banjo, you hear mandolin,
Yes.
you hear guitar, and as the song picks up, he starts going more modern, and you even hear a little bit of an island kind of reggae groove in there too. He puts in all these very cool sounds, and I was really happy with what he did with it, because I wanted him to go for different sounds. And for a while there, when I first came to Nashville, everybody be like, well, you're not country, or you're not this, or you should
I
do,
hear
and
it
I
in your
thought, you know
voice though,
what,
Anne
I'm
Marie.
gonna do
So I would
whatever the heck
recommend that you
I
are.
want to do.
Yeah, I was like, I hear it
Whatever I
in your
feel like.
voice.
Yeah, because they want to label you. Now, it does
Mhm.
become hard when you're registering your music and you got to choose genres
Oh,
and
yeah,
sound
that's
exchange.
stressful.
And it's like, well, what? Well, it's pop, but it's rock, but it's country, but it's
No.
this. And, so sometimes I struggle with that, but I really enjoy deciding what do I want a song to sound like as I'm in the arranging and studio mode. And Bob also did Bonfire, which same thing, you start with one groove and you build it. And I like writing in rounds as well. I like starting with a theme,
Yes.
and then you might go to the chorus, and then you introduce a third theme, and then near the end, I always like bringing all those themes together,
Mhm.
and then also mixing up the lyric line. So that's, in my opinion, my stamp as a performer.
An artist,
And
yeah.
like I said earlier, I don't just say I'm a singer, a songwriter, I'm a comedian. I'm an entertainer. I think if you're an entertainer, you take everything
You
that
do.
you know.
You definitely do. And you're a comedian too. I mean, like, come on, you're funny. So you are an entertainer.
I, I try. And, I think some days are funnier than others. And, I like making people laugh. I think a lot of people don't laugh. In fact, there's a duet that right now Kenny Lee, a producer in Nashville, is putting together. I haven't solidified the artist that will be singing on this song with me yet, but it's a great song between a man and a woman. There's a lot
Okay.
of banter going back, and it's meant to
Ooh.
be funny. And it's going to be in a traditional country groove. That one will be definitely traditional country.
Yeah, I definitely like some country music. I'm not gonna lie. I listen to my dad's station a lot, but I do like to listen to 92.5 sometimes too. It's just country just makes you feel so alive.
Exactly. Every song I've written either was on keyboards or on a 30-year-old Washburn guitar. And I try and keep it simple. I go back when I'm going into the country, I'm thinking about Loretta Lynn, and that used 3/4 chords. And I never said I was a great guitar player, but I think the standards of, easy to play and sing, and then my vocals might be more challenging for some people, but I like to make parts interesting and come up with grooves that, maybe people sing like that last song, everybody comments on the bass line, and that's what I wanted. I wrote that little bass lick, and I was playing around with that groove on my guitar, and I'm like, I really like that. And then Bob's like, oh, your guitar playing, am I gotta fix it? I'm like, no, but you gotta leave that bass groove.
No, yeah, that's
And that
probably.
is the groove that everybody comments on when they hear that song.
And they like
And
it.
that song, by the way, is coming out next month in July on Bongo Boy Records,
Mhm.
which I just wanted to give a little shout out to Bongo Boy Records as well. You got Monique Grimm that runs Bongo Boy Records, and if you're an indie artist and you're listening, it is a wonderful company. I've tried a lot of different promotions in trying to get my music out there, and I will say Bongo Boy Records
It's definitely.
will definitely help you as an indie artist, whether you want to put a single on a compilation album or you want a full album promoted. You'll get magazine reviews. They also have video, that they have 66 cable channels. They also just signed some sort of deal with Hawaii, where there will be exclusive artist music airing out in Hawaii. They offer so many opportunities for a very reasonable price, so I am definitely vouching for them. And nobody paid me to say that. I experienced that myself as an indie artist,
Yeah,
trying to
of
find
course.
who are the people that work well, and who's reasonable, and what can I afford. And I have released 3 singles now on Bongo Boy Records, and I can definitely attest that if you're an indie artist, they're a wonderful company to work with that will really help you get your music out, not only to Asia, Europe, but in the U.S. on radio, TV, and
Everywhere.
help you in other ways. Plus, get magazine reviews and help you, have not only a radio presence but an online presence. So look them up, bongoboyrecords.com, and there's all sorts of info, and you'll see how much they do for you.
But I was gonna also say, Amory, with before you found Bungle Boy Records, like how did that come about? And were you ever scared if somebody reached out to you and, for instance, says that they're with a company but like there's no proof about them? Like, how do you vouch for them? How do you feel like you don't want to release your music there in case somebody tries to steal it? How do you know when
Sure.
they're real?
Yeah, we've all made mistakes where you send music or it's not good quality, or you send songs and you see stories where people get their music stolen. So, I had a few bad experiences where people took my money, but for the most part, I do my research. I'm the Google queen. So when somebody's name dropping, and they're like, I worked with this person, that person, I'm taking all those names. And I had a classic one, and he was a cuckoo a couple years ago, and I won't say his name, but a cuckoo, saying he was an artist and he was with Warner Chappell Music and blah, blah, blah. And so I wrote down every name, and some of these people were my friends on Facebook and social media. So I was like, this guy says he's worked with you. And they're like, no, he hasn't. He hasn't done anything. And, and then some, you might look up names, or you see everybody jumping on a new group page because
Oh
they
my
say
gosh,
they're a
me.
new publisher
Yes.
in Nashville. And so you Google their name, and all of a sudden you see that they've been in 4 other states with 4 different lawsuits and this and that. So I do my research. I will Google the company. I will Google the person's name, the business. I will find out what I can. I was always told I could be a great private detective. And I busted a lot of exes, so
Oh gosh.
that's probably why I'm chronically single, because
Aw.
I always find out my facts first.
Well, I was going to say another thing though, like when you said you were Googling all these companies and stuff to make sure that they're real, have you ever looked and saw like any of them like on Ripoff Report, or like saw that they were like
Oh yeah.
something they
Oh,
said
yeah.
was totally just fraud and they just wanted money from you guys? Like, have you ever had to deal in a situation like that? How did you bounce back?
Well, you just don't do business with them.
True.
And and I'll have to say that independent music has really exploded over the last couple years.
Yeah.
So now Paul may not have been listening earlier because he was chatting with. He was trying to get on the player. But anyway, I want to give a shout out to Paul Mack of the Super Indie Show, because he was one of the first people that took my music even when I didn't know what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And over the last couple years, especially the last two, I really made a conscious choice to learn as much as I could. And, you know, anything I don't understand, like I said, you have to learn how to make posters. I learned how to do video editing. I
That's
got a
amazing.
Zoom digital
Better than me.
recorder. I know how
Yeah.
to mix, master music. I'm not an expert at any of them, but now I know how to make little promo videos and make voiceovers, and then of course studying and learning how to properly register music and do all those things, and radio list, and how do you market and how do you promote, and you know, you just have to keep willing to learn. And then there are people out there that are at higher levels than you,
Mm-hmm.
and some are very unselfish in helping. I've learned from people. So, you know, a lot of people ask me questions, or they say, oh, you're giving me so much info, thank you so much, and why do you do this? And it's, well, other people have helped me. But the key is finding people that ethically and professionally are just all around nice people. You have to really find who's in your corner. Occasionally you'll get fooled once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you have to make wise choices. So that's what I try and do.
Definitely. And to that, one of the songs that we actually called is I Don't Know What Love Is. It sounds like a great way to, like, reason to play, but I wanted to know a little bit, like, what would you, like, when writing that song, what were you writing, like, behind it? Was it, like, did you do it after a breakup?
Well, it's a two. I write in a lot of hidden metaphors, so we'll just say in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to marriage, I always wondered, how does anybody make it through thick or thin, rich or poor, sickness or health, better
Yeah.
or for worse?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when I was in a bad relationship with somebody that was a bad alcoholic, very abusive,
Oh, God, that's hard.
drug addict. One of my first couple of years here in Nashville, and I was so young and naive and didn't know any better. And then when these dark, evil sides come out of the person, and you're thinking, I can just love them more, and
No.
you know, we can get through this. How do you make those vows in marriage when somebody fails you?
Yeah.
And I've never been married, but I always tried to put that in my friendships and my relationships. And I've had some terrible relationships. I guess I just don't choose well.
You and me both.
Anyway, so you got that commitment. How do you do that? And
Yeah.
some of those lines in the song too. Some of these abusive people saying, you're never going to make it in music, you can't sing, you suck, all these things. And you believe them because they beat you down in that emotional beatdown.
Oh,
And my perseverance to know that deep inside of you, that's not true.
no, it's
And
not.
so to choose also the relationship with music
Mm-hmm.
and come out to Nashville and pack your stuff. And I did sleep on the cold floor. And when I first came out here, I had nothing. So
because you moved out, right?
yeah, and yeah, left it all behind and came out of my car with my belongings. And you know, it's a sacrifice in that relationship with music, where some days you feel totally euphoric and other days you're wondering, why are you doing this, when you're eating eggs and tuna and counting pennies and
Eggs are
all
good.
that
I just
stuff.
don't eat
So-
tuna. I'm a vegetarian.
So that's what that song's about.
Okay, well, we're going to play I Don't Know What Love Is, and then we will be right back to the DJ and the show on HamiltonRadio.net, stream HR2 with Anne-Marie Persono, and we're actually going to find out when we come back how Hamilton Radio got involved. Be right back. I need to know this kind of stuff. Okay.
I don't know what love is anymore. I've been kicked around, beaten down. I've slept on a cold floor, and I don't know what love is anymore. I can't see the rise above the pain. When I'm finally strong, you reappear once again to blame. And I don't know what love is anymore.
All right, and we're back to the DJ Danny Show on HamiltonRadio.net, stream HR2 with Anne-Marie Paserno. We just heard I Don't Know What Love Is. And I want to let you know to that song, like, as of now, I love that song so much, and I get a lot of Hawaiian vibes to it.
Hawaiian, wow.
Yeah.
You know, when I wrote this song, I listened to a lot of Katie Lang, Tammy Wynette, and Roy Orbison. And I love the mandolin work, by the way, that Bob McGilpin did on this song.
It's amazing, yeah.
This song was nominated for the Josie Music Awards last year. And I think this one was for traditional country, actually, so that's interesting. But the ending kind of has that Roy Orbison feel. And I didn't try and sing like any of them because I sing like Anne-Marie Paserno.
Of course.
But, you know, I start traditional, and then, of course, I put my own little twist kind of vocally on the end. But I really like that Roy Orbison kind of groove at the end. I wanted him to kind of do that little dun, 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 you know, kind of like Pretty Woman kind of deal.
Yeah,
And,
I definitely heard that. But I like the part where almost at the ending where it just sounded like the music was going low, and it just reminded me of like being on an ocean in Hawaii, and you just saw the the waves. I don't know. You're making me want to dream big.
You know, I don't know what love is. Now, there's a funny story. I performed this live at a venue here in Nashville, and I did a real dramatic, I don't know what love is, and I held it all the way until it got real quiet, and I kind of did a head bop, like, for dramatic effect, and I smashed my face right into the microphone. Have you ever smacked the mic right in your mouth?
No, that sounds so
It's
painful.
like, and I held the pose, and then smack. And then anymore. And it's on video, and I'm like, gosh darn it. You know,
did it hurt your
stuff like
teeth,
that.
though? Did it hit your face or your mouth?
I just kind of bopped my head because I was being dramatic and banged right into the damn microphone.
Anne-Marie, you're talking to a girl that gets in the car and hits her head every time she gets in the car.
Hey, you don't got to be that mean.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, she's a clumsy, sweet little thing, but she's clumsy.
I was going to be a server. I guess that's not going to happen now.
I'm clumsy, too. So, you know, and that brings me to kind of how Bonfire all came about, because these last 4 songs, you know, that I had recorded and put out, right before that, I had an accident where, long story short, had a blackout, and I actually fell probably from a standing position, and I fell flat on my face. I woke up on the floor. I had broken my nose in 3 places. It was totally shattered.
Ow.
I damaged my upper jaw, my lip. I have facial damage. I have nerve damage. I walked around with a broken nose for 5 months before I had my first surgery, trying to straighten it out. It wasn't for cosmetic. It was to breathe and to try and repair the cartilage. And second surgery was only just a couple months ago, last February. So I've been dealing with this now about a year and 8 months. The trauma that I did just from an accident. And I was so mad, and I was so down in the dumps a year and a half ago or so. And I met Lisa Coppola, and I sent her an acoustic version of Bonfire. And she's like, we have to record this song. And she helped me get into the studio, which is where I met Benny Pitzinger and Steve Owens, who introduced me to the producer that ended up doing my last 4 singles. And the whole song came out of me chatting with G. Piero on air, actually through Facebook. And we were talking about him wanting to help people and help indie artists, and it was a burning in him, and why don't you write this song called Bonfire? And it just clicked, and I instantly wrote it in like 5 minutes. I did do a little pre-research, looking on the internet as well. I said, let's Google Bonfire, because anytime you're a songwriter, you want to keep open to as many ideas as possible, and images and metaphors. And so I found out, you know, people had bonfires in war. They burned bodies. They had bonfires for celebrations. They had bonfire for spiritual, religious events. They had bonfires just for parties, all down to the bonfire with a single guitar and people sitting around telling their stories
Camping, yes.
and trying to be hopeful and passing the guitar, and then other people coming in with instruments and music and voices and community and looking forward to hope and a better future. So the song almost wrote itself. It really did, and that's thanks to Gene, of course, and then Lisa getting it in the studio. And then once I got there, I realized this can't be a solo. This song is about people coming together. So Benny and Steve had wanted to be there for the recording, and they had introduced me to producer, and I said, well, why don't you sing a little bit on it? And I invited Jimmy Parker, and then I also, as I was adding voices, Lisa flew in from New Jersey and performed and sang. She mirrored the whole duet on the lead, and then we added Donna Joe at the end, because I think she's just an awesome, gospel country singer.
Yeah.
And my dream really was I wanted to get as many indie artists in every part of the world on it, but
On
it was
Bonfire.
my first big collaboration.
I know,
And
it's
so
amazing. It's a
that was-
beautiful
yeah.
song.
I thought he did an awesome job.
We
And,
actually have it here as well. But before we play it, since you were talking about my father, I want to know exactly, how did you get involved with Hamilton Radio? Did my dad contact you? Did you contact my dad? Was it like through mutual friends?
I think it actually was through Paul Mack. We can blame it on Paul again.
Blame
he's
it
a
on Paul.
troublemaker.
So Paul Mack
And,
was the reason.
I think Paul was the very first one that said, hey, I'll play your song, which was Bad Girl. And so I got to know Hamilton Radio. And I used to listen to Hamilton Radio just about every night, And, of course, supported the Super Indie Show, and then started chatting with Gene and getting to know the station. And, I'm a firm believer, somebody helps you, you help them. And I do my very best to help stations grow, even though I'm not a paid promoter.
Yes.
Nobody gets paid, not the stations.
Oh, no.
what they
We do
do,
everything.
or
Well, I mean, they
us
pay for it, but
artists, and,
yeah.
Yeah, I try my best to say, hey, this is a great radio station, and these are great people, and jump on board, So I think it was very natural. I think it's all meant to be, Every course of events is 6 degrees of separation. Even some of the evil people you might meet throughout your world and life, when you think back sometimes to trials and tribulations, it either made you stronger, or maybe you met somebody from that bad relationship that went towards a better relationship.
Yep.
And so it's all connected in this universe.
I
is
was
my
going to
belief.
say, it definitely is like when you meet someone, either they have mutual friends with somebody that you knew or you didn't like, but they came in your life for a reason.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
you can definitely feel that.
Well, let's hear Bonfire. And thank you, Gene, for the inspiration behind this song.
Come on.
Still getting airplay around the world. And up
Get
for
on, Mike,
Best
Dad.
Collaboration, by the way, for the Josie Music Awards this year. And I think it would be a wonderful thing if we won, but it's certainly an honor just to be nominated.
Isn't it? And you deserve that too, because speaking from just a person that had an idea, you took that idea and made a beautiful song out of it. And I just can't thank you enough for that. I mean, like I said, I'm the only way I'm affected with this is because I was part of it. But it was just an idea that she ran with it. Her songwriting experience, just an amazing woman. I can't, between you and my wife, I mean, I can't, I love my wife, I dearly, but you're such an amazing woman that I don't understand, a lot of things in life, but you're an amazing woman, and you just got a great talent, and you know how to use it, and I just can't love you enough. You're just amazing.
Well, thank you, Gene. We love you too. And I've got big hopes for this song. It's not over burning yet. I think it's just the
No,
beginning.
it's not.
Some
It's
great
just
things.
beginning.
We're just starting.
Beautiful. We're going to play Bonfire, and we'll be right back. I'll come back.
Many a story has been told round the bonfire.
A fire of passion deep down inside. Regret and tears I cannot hide. But I have a fire burns round me.
I've thrown in dreams
emotions fight. Memories blaze to shed a light. Bonfire ignites from within me. Light up the night, celebration, festival of light. It's tradition, burning bright, fire ignites the way. Sharing in a song, playing music, a single spark. People have built it, swirling up in smoke, all pain melts away. Feel the heat, sparks fly. Sharing warmth right in our eyes. Love in the bonfire. Love in the bonfire. I have sticks and stones, I've got old bones. The universe is never wrong. You're the right one to come along. Bonfires lit, burning desire. There's no accidents in life. We'll keep the sun alive till early morn. This bonfire's going strong, giving us strength to carry on. Light up the night, celebration, festival of light. It's tradition, burning bright, fire ignites the way. Sharing in a song, playing music, a single spark. People have built it, swirling up in smoke, all pain melts away. Feel the heat, sparks fly. Sharing warmth right in our eyes. Love in a bonfire. Love in a bonfire. It's burning in me. It's burning in me. It's burning in me. You gotta love the night, celebration, festival of lights. It's tradition, burning bright, fire ignites the way. And it's all of us together, sharing in a song, playing music, a single spark. People have built it, swirling up in smoke, all pain melts. And it's all of us together. Feel the heat, sparks fly. Sharing warmth right in our eyes. Love in the bonfire. It's burning. Love in the bonfire. And it's all of us together. It's burning. Love in the bonfire. Love in the bonfire.
Oh my gosh, that song is amazing. And you can hear
Well,
all the
thank you.
collaborations and everything. It's beautiful. My dad has something. he
I was
actually
given
wants to
I was
say.
given the information who was on the song. You know, Lisa Coppola, Betty Pitzinger, Jimmy Parker, of course Donna Joe, and they all have amazing voices in their own rights. So including you as well. But the real way we got together, Anne Marie, I believe, was through Mark Regula, because Mark from Ivory Tower Project says, "Hey, you got to check out Anne Marie Paserno, her Bad Girl." And I listened to it, I'm
right.
like,
Yeah,
wow,
that's
what a
right.
song. And it was like, it was an amazing song, and your voice was amazing. I'm like, oh, this woman has got it all together.
Yeah, Mark Regula is definitely another go-getter indie artist. Check
Amazing.
out Ivory
Mhm.
Tower Project. He's a great rocker, great musician, and he is somebody that gave me additional information on Hamilton radio and all
Yep.
that. Absolutely, and thanks to Mark
And he does so
for that
much-
connection for sure.
Right, he does so much for everybody. That's why, you know, a lot of the bands that I know of come through Mark Regula or Dennis Holzebrook, because they're just they're music people, and they love music and the sort of music they love. Just amazing artists. Just they got great voices and melody and content, and you would never hear that hardly anywhere unless it was on an indie station, and you may never listen to an indie station. So yeah, we thank.
Well, I get to the point where when I'm listening to the Super Indie Show or Crystal Cavern, and I'm hearing something really good. I love listening in headsets, and I hear some really great music. I look in the player and see, well, who is that? And absolutely, you got some top-notch independent artists.
Yes,
and
working hard.
I've seen a lot of these artists. We're a network, and we're friends. Some of us we've met either at Josie Music Awards or events or here in Nashville, and many come to Nashville to travel and play out here, and then you get to finally meet that person, that face, that photo you've seen across social media. It's really awesome to connect with these people in person, and they have grown so much over the last couple of years. Sharon, Leah, and Lisa.
Oh my God!
You see their accomplishments. And,
oh my gosh, it's amazing. Yes.
You're rooting for them, and that's what I'm talking about. Good people is that I not only recognize good indie artists. It is a competition in some ways. Like me and Lisa are always like, "You bitch." She's like, "You released Bonfire, and now it's all over my iTunes, Amazon."
Yeah, but she's part of that, so she shouldn't,
We're battling for this charter.
Oh, I love that.
But it's also a healthy competition. I love seeing them all succeed. And anytime we hear of opportunities, hey, did you hear of this? Or I've hooked up several people with some indie artist magazines where I had a very, very nice gentleman named Randy Lockhart that writes for several online music blogs. And he put me in 5 different independent music magazines all over Twitter and everywhere else. And, I'm not going to keep that information to myself. He needs the support, too. He's a writer. He wants people to come to him just like you want people coming to your station. So I'm like, hey, there's this great magazine blogger for music. Check him out. And I hooked up several artists with this magazine. What amazes me is when I give a lot of information to an artist on radio stations and send them lists of places they can check out and stations, and then like 4 months later, can you send that to me again? And I've gotten to the point where I'm like, no.
No, and
you should have listened to me the first time.
Right, but see, that's the
one
problem.
thing that I don't like is having to repeat. I'll suggest gently a couple times, and I try and teach. I mean, we're going to give a shout out to Sue Walton Promotions. She's a wonderful lady, but I've tried. I used to give her technical assistance through Facebook chat of how to upload a picture or video. And it'll like pull my hair out. It's like, Sue, pay somebody to learn this stuff, and but you watch people learn and grow, just like I've learned and grown. It's you just keep adding the layers and trying to be the best you can be. And my challenge is I want to finish my album this year. I got some great tunes that are coming. They're written. They just need to be recorded and getting ready to go back in the studio. And more coming, and really excited that the good people are finding each other and supporting each other all through this journey. I hope we all succeed.
Most definitely. Well, I'm so thankful that you were here, and I just want to give one shout out because Paul Mack just messaged me. He said, super interview with Ann tonight, mate. And I said thank you, and I told him I would shout him out, and I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Yeah, we love Paul Mack.
Yep. And I do not to talk about myself too much, but if anybody's listening and they want to find my music, you can either Google my name, Anne-Marie Picerno, Anemarie, Picerno, Picerno, and you'll find all my social media, whether it's iTunes, Amazon, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and you can also see my main website, annemariepicerno.com. And I'm also on Reverb Nation, Amplified Sound. So, I mean, you'll find me if you just Google my name. There's a wealth of information on the internet, and join me, check out my music, download, stream, or share with your friends. And you're more than welcome to contact me through the website. and I'll do my very best to respond.
I love people that listen to the Tune Genie link, because the Tune Genie link actually has your videos on there, and helps self-promote you by just people clicking and listening and checking out your YouTube page or whatever it is on social media. So I always recommend get the Tune Genie link rather than the player link if you're going to listen to the radio show or whatever. And
Sure.
you know, it helps. It helps the artist. It helps us, and everybody's happy then.
And it's awesome, you know, Hamilton radio is growing, and we all struggle with growing pains. I mean, a year ago, I would say I didn't know how to, you know, do video editing, or I didn't know how to record
Right.
audio stream on a Skype interview. And, you know, you learn all these things, and so we all just keep trying to improve, get better, you know, take out the kinks, and, you know, keep expanding, because it's a wonderful network. And you know, I rarely listen to commercial radio. Yes, I do read
Oh,
and
gosh,
try
yeah.
and keep up on the current events and what's going on in music, but really we're making our own music, and there's
Our own
plenty more
events, too.
music to
Yeah.
come. Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you so much for being here. We have one more track that I'm going to close with. And just how you were, you know, doing your self-promotion again. Everybody can find you on like AnneMariePercerno.com. So just to Google you, right?
That is right.
And then your upcoming new single we're trying to release in July, or is that your album?
Well, Closer is coming out on Bongo Boy Records compilation album, which is already out on my websites.
Okay.
And Bonfire Rain, I Don't Know What Love Is, recently released the last year. All those can be found on my website, along with my Bad Girl EP, which was a pop rock album. And then we got new singles that will be out before the end of the year.
All right, well, thank you so much. And the last song that we have to play,
Going through the motions.
Going Through the Motions.
Yeah, and one real quick thing on this song.
Mhm.
This definitely, I call it a vocal rhapsody. It's got a lot of different parts going on. It's a dance club song.
Ooh.
And it's a grooving song. Great song to either clean your house with or get a good
Clean your
workout in.
Well, I really appreciate that, and I look forward to hearing it. Do you have any last words, Dad?
Yeah, I just gotta say, I can't say enough about you, Anne-Marie. You know how I feel about you. I love you. You're just an amazing woman, as I said before, and keep on doing what you're doing. You know, you always be recognized here, and I just love you for you being you. You know, you don't take any bullshit from people. You do what you're supposed to do. You help others. I mean, you're doing everything that other people should be doing to each other. But unfortunately, the world isn't like that.
And she's a great promoter.
And
I
that's what I'm saying.
still
She
don't know
does
how to
everything
make
for
that thing
everybody
she
else.
made for my
And
show.
I really appreciate when you do that. So I want you to know, just keep on doing what you're doing. Don't worry about the people. There's going to be haters no matter what you do, but we love you. So
That's right. Somebody said I looked like a drag queen. I'm like, thank you.
let the comedian in you come out. Remember, you were a
You know?
comedian first, you know?
It's like, you know, I'm a drag queen. Oh, and it's my birthday on Thursday, so be sure to come wish me a happy birthday on
definitely
Facebook.
will.
Well, happy early
birthday
birthday.
now, and I will definitely wish you one on Thursday.
All right. Thank you,
Thank you.
HamiltonRadio.net, DJ
Blessings.
Danny Show, and Jean DiPiero. We love you. And Paul Mack, listening from afar, we love you too.
Thank you so much.
Thank
We're
you
going to
so
play
much, my
Going
dear.
Through the Motions, and have a great night.
What you doing to me? Oh no, let's take this slower, slow. I've got to keep my